Hi everyone, I'm GREYMOND. Today I'm continuing to answer questions about OCD recovery. These are the questions that you left below my video. Ask a question about OCD. First question is, Hi Ali, I have harm OCD. I'm more afraid of the feelings that come along with the thoughts, and sometimes it feels as if the thoughts or as if the feelings are there first, as if I really want to do harm. This is very disturbing because of that, I cannot convince myself that it is OCD and I keep doubting. It doesn't really matter how the OCD comes in. It can come in as thoughts, it can come in as feelings, it can come in as images, it can come in as even physical sensations. It doesn't really matter. It's still OCD and you need to attribute all of it to OCD. And this is actually very common with harm OCD specifically. So you need to say, any feeling that I get, an urge, a feeling that I want it, a feeling that I'm about to do it, oh, my hand moved, all of it is just part of OCD. You need to disregard all of it. It doesn't matter how it comes up. Don't let it scare you because it feels very real or it feels like you want it. That's classic OCD. Don't pay attention to it. You choose not to pay attention. You choose to disregard. Next question is, hi, how can you start working with things blocked by OCD? For example, I have bad thoughts during usage of some things. I am stopping using them and then have a big problem with starting to use them again. And thank you because you're really helping. I'm happy to help. And this is exactly what happens with all of this. That when you start to avoid things en masse, your world starts to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then it's hard to go back because all these steps that you've taken back, you have to now overcome it. So you need to just see it as a compulsion. And this compulsion is something that, you're going to avoid this specific object your whole life and that specific object your whole life? Chances are no. So chances are at some point you'll have to use it again. Which means you're going to have to work on it again. And it's going to be that much harder. So when it comes up, and then another thing comes up and it tells you can't use this now either, you have to choose to disregard and use it anyway. Use it in spite of what OCD tells you. The more you use it in spite of what OCD tells you, the weaker OCD will become. And then on top of it, would be accidental, as I call them, accidental exposures. Not on purpose exposures, but exposures that just happen throughout the day. Now, on top of it, do on purpose exposures to get some of this ground back that you've lost. So today I'm going to work on using this object or that object. And like I was saying in previous video, an hour a day, devote an hour a day to do exposures on purpose. You need to do this. Saying I'm doing only a few here or there, it's just not enough. It's like a drop in the bucket. You need to do more. You need to be focused and you need to push through. This is how recovery is made. Right now, you're kind of just seeing everything being taken away from you one by one. So you need to fight back. Actively fight back from a position of power, just getting your life back, right? Next question is, hi Ali, first of all, I'd like to thank you because your tips really helped me on my recovery. I've been disregarding for a while and it's helping. My only problem is that I feel my mind is still feeling guilty even when I'm not thinking or ruminating. Also, when I say if it is still a problem in the week, work on it. But sometimes it's still a problem in a week, even if I disregard. So does this mean anything? No, you have to look at these, whatever your mind tells you about your OCD, it is OCD. It's still OCD. It's just, like I was saying, right? The feelings along with the feelings, the images along with the feelings, the sensations and urges along with the feelings. It's all the same thing. But you have to look at it as it's OCD. I don't care what it tells me. I'm choosing to disregard, and then actively choose to disregard all the time. Whatever your brain tells you, don't let it scare you. Next question is, hi Ali, I have PRO type. I follow your videos for 2 months now and I do everything you say. Thank you so much. It's very helpful. Now, my constant concern is that I have feelings of restlessness that keeps reminding me of my OCD theme. And it's like that restlessness is an urge to bring up the disturbing thoughts. It is making me analyze OCD constantly as well, making me have frequent setbacks. Please help. So the whole thing with restlessness, that's what you have to expose yourself to. So whenever you feel like this, and you feel the urge to analyze, you have to make a choice to refuse. That would be your exposure, and you have to do response prevention. And at the end of the day, however it comes in, restlessness, other feelings people have, you could see it's like question after question. People have feelings of guilt, feelings of shame, images, all kinds of things. Physical sensations. You just have to look at it as this is a symptom of OCD. And in this situation, it is also a trigger, exposure. So now I'm in exposure, and now I need to do response prevention, no matter what. Next question is, I'm stuck. My theme seems to be I don't know what to do in life, and everything seems meaningless. I want to just forget all this and get back on with my life now. But the thought about I just can't live life without purpose. It all seems so pointless. So as much as they say whatever doing ERP, it still doesn't hide the fact that I actually believe I don't have a purpose. I'm unsure whether this is OCD or a midlife crisis. It could be a little bit of both. I think it could have started as something, I think we all kind of experience this stuff from time to time, but an OCD could have grabbed onto it. It really doesn't matter. So you cannot show fear to any of it. So whenever you feel this thought, this is the exposure, you need to do response prevention. In terms of what you actually want to do, I would say the more you analyze, what do I want to do? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I'm not sure, which is it? That kind of thing, the worse it becomes. So I would say for now, just start doing something, and then from that something build on it. Because if you start to do some activity, something that say you did before, okay, then you clearly know whether you like it or not after a while of doing it. No, I'm really not into this. I don't want to do this. Okay, so then you move on to something else. But I think this indecisiveness of not starting anything because you're not sure, I think that this is what keeping you trapped. And you have to make the perfect decision. If you feel that way, that's also the perfection OCD coming in as well, and that's also not good. Next question is, hi Ali, big fan of your work, thank you. I have religious OCD. I was just wondering how far do I go with ERP, because I feel like there are certain exposures I can't handle right now, and I'm not sure what to do. Do I avoid the exposures I find really difficult? Do I play for a 5% reduction each day and try to get to them that way, or do I throw myself into exposures I've shown real fear to for a long time, and I try to stop reacting to them each day? It is hard because I feel I could be going against God. I don't have the conclusive evidence it's OCD, and this could cause bad reactions. So I can tell you that this is OCD because I talk to people with religious OCD every day. Religious OCD is actually really, really common, and it doesn't matter really what religion the person is. It kind of, it's the same across all religions, really. In terms of how to do ERP, I would say that do the 5%. Or do, say, if you want to go a little faster, do the 10%. See how you feel and progress more and more from there. If you do too much too fast, it might be difficult, and then you might have a setback. I would say start out slow, see how you do, and then as you get more confident, you can speed up. But anything to do with religious OCD is an OCD thought. Any thought that you're having that's your usual theme is an OCD thought. You need to choose to disregard. And then it tells you, but what if you're going against God? No, that's OCD. That's classic back talk of religious OCD, and we're disregarding and we're choosing to move on. But yeah, I would probably start out doing 5%. Next question is, I'm really struggling with the worry of seeing people's privates, especially when they bend down or are in shorts or bathing suit. I know that I should do ERP with this and not care, but I'm really struggling to be normal and not look and not close my eyes. So you need to try to be, not to try to be normal, but do as people without OCD would do, to the best of your ability. And however, did you look more? Did you look less? You're just choosing not to analyze it. You're choosing not to figure it out. Sometimes because this OCD is hyper-focused on this, that you might be looking more, or you might be looking less, or you might be kind of doing some awkward, behaviors and things like that. I think that that's completely normal. Again, it's because of OCD. What I don't want you to do is, I don't want you to, okay, I can't look at people anymore, I'm so scared to look at people. Just try to look at a person as a person has all kinds of body parts, private parts, not private parts, doesn't matter. It's just the body we're disregarding, and really try to go like this to the best of your ability, and eventually the brain will normalize. But just don't try to like, oh, I can't look at people anymore, because what if my eye falls to their privates, and that starts the whole thing. Don't allow yourself to get into that mindset, because that avoidance will create a huge problem. So you're just looking at them just like as a person, to person's body, whatever, and then whatever thoughts come in, you're disregarding, and you're not trying to figure out how you look, kind of not going back to the situation mentally, not trying to figure out, did you look like this, did you look like that, did you look too long, did you not look too long. We're not solving these things anymore. We're choosing to move on, actively making that choice. Next question is, hi Ali, my theme is repeating people's names after seeing them or hearing of their name also is my trigger. Seeing the person, and what's the best way of approaching this? Thank you very much. So try to count, again, not obsessively, but try to count how much you are repeating in the course of a day, and start reducing that. So I'm going to allow myself maximum this number of times, and start reducing from there. And then in terms of when you're saying seeing them or hearing their name is also the trigger. So hear their name on purpose. So maybe pre-record yourself saying their name. Again, not obsessively, right? But just pre-record yourself so you have that trigger. And then when you see or seeing a picture of them, and when you see a picture of them, you hear their name, you're not responding with the compulsion. And do this, I would say spend an hour a day doing this, active exposure. So then when it happens all of a sudden, then you're not as surprised by it. Hi Ali, that's the next question. Hi Ali, my question is, during the recovery process, do you need to always refocus as soon as the thoughts come in and ignore them, except when you're bringing them up on purpose by doing ERP, which in that case, you don't interrupt the thought and then ignore it. I know that most important thing is not reacting with fear, but does interrupting the OCD thought count as avoidance? Avoidance is anything you're doing out of fear. So if you're saying, look, exactly the same situation, but if you're saying, I'm choosing to move on because I'm so scared that I need to immediately find something else to refocus on. Or if you're saying, I've had enough of this, I'm doing something else. Do you see how it's the same exact action, but how you are showing it to your brain is entirely different. One is from a position of fear, another one from a position of power. So you do want to refocus on other things as soon as, well, I wouldn't say as soon as, but just keep yourself busy throughout the day. So as OCD comes in, you're already in something. Because if you're just running towards something as soon as you get a thought, that seems more position of fear. But if you're in that situation, try to be kind of calm about it and say, no, I'm not doing this. I'm not analyzing. I'm going to do this instead. But not showing fear when you're doing that. It is important. That's all the questions for today. I will be back with more tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe. If you would like to do one-on-one recovery program with me, all the information is on youhaveocd.com. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.